Hello, we're going to look at 2.2, special functions and their graphs. Most of this should be review from algebra. I'm just going to go through it real quick. And it says, for a quadratic in the form of y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, the axis of symmetry is equal to x is equal to negative b over 2a. So you can see this line of symmetry where this quadratic equation would fold completely over, right? And then its vertex point, that's the point that it comes down, in this situation, a minimum, but it also can come up to a maximum, but that's that vertex point. And you can use the x coordinate, which is the line of symmetry, and that would be the x coordinate, and then you'd plug it whatever that coordinate is in to the original equation, and you'd end up with your vertex point. So we're going to go ahead and go right into example 3. And it says, find the domain and range of a function y is equal to negative 2x plus 4x, 2x squared plus 4x minus 3. And confirm your answer graphically. And we'll do that with a calculator. So it asks us for the domain, but I know the domain of any quadratic equation is going to be all real numbers. You can see that by there's any time you can plug in any value and get an answer out of it, so it's all real. But range, I'm going to go ahead and try to find the vertex point, and then I'll know what my range could be. So I'll find that line of symmetry first using negative b over 2 times my a value, and that's going to come out to 1. So now I know that my vertex point has an x coordinate of 1. I just need my y coordinate, right? So I'll go ahead and do f of 1, plug it into the function like they said up here, and I know I'm going to have negative 2 plus 4 minus 3 is equal to negative 1. And since this is a negative value, I know that it opens down and comes up to this vertex point right there. So now I know that my range is going to be y has to be less than or equal to negative 1. Or I can write it as negative infinity to negative 1, just as so. And now we're going to check this, confirm this graphically using the calculator. And I'll say, go to the graph, and I'll plug the equation, negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 3, and you can see how that works, and I can go ahead and analyze the graph. This is a maximum, so I'll go to a maximum, and all I got to do is pick to the left and the right of that maximum point, and I can find it, and you can see it says 1, negative 1. A little trick here, if you see that little hand, if I hold this down, it kind of grabs it, and I can move it to see it better so you can see it. And there you go, and that confirms, you can see the domain is going to be all real numbers, and the range is from negative 1 all the way to negative infinity. Good? Now, let's see another example. The next one isn't a quadratic, but a radical. So I'll go look at example 4, and it says determine the domain and range of y is equal to the square root of 4x minus 3. Well, what do we know about the base or parent function of the square root of x? What does that look like? Well, we can't take the square root of negative numbers, but I know at 0 it's 0, at 1 it's 1. Then I'd have to go over to 4 to get my next whole number, so this should be review 2, but we could see the domain in this situation is x is greater than or equal to 0, and the range is y is greater than or equal to 0. Good. Now for this guy though, something's going to change. I need to know what's inside of there. When is that greater than or equal to 0? And that'll give me my domain. So I know that x is greater than or equal to 3/4, right? So that's my domain. My domain is x is greater than or equal to 3/4. If you were to write in notation, it's 3/4 to infinity, right? And the range, well, nothing changed in the y, right? We could start plugging values in, but we can always end up with, it'll always be 0. So y is greater than or equal to 0, or from 0 to infinity. Those are the two ways that I can write it. Now, let's go ahead and confirm our answers with the calculator. So I'll put it over here, right here, and I'll go, if I want to just type over it, I'll hit tab. I could go up there and I can delete all this out, and I'll go control, and right underneath the x squared, I get the squared, and then it's 4x minus 3, and I get my, equation. There you go. And now I can find out where that, I'll analyze graph. This time I'll just find a 0 where it equals 0, and I can just scan across, and you can see it's 0.75, 3/4 like we found. And there you go. And now we've confirmed.